Hi everybody, welcome back to session 5 for the Shadows of Darkain. Where we left off, we were in Riverport, and we just dealt with that small group of potential Darkain cultists. They were causing some trouble, but we were able to fend them off. The leader of that small pack of Darkain cultists fled via some magical means of teleportation. Because we've been dealing with some enemies in recent episodes, I've decided to level up my characters. I go by a milestone system, not XP, which you can certainly do in Maze Rats. It has a standard leveling system. You can do XP based on actually showing up to the session, overcoming a difficulty, impressive challenges, stuff like that. But I prefer milestone, and that's just how I think I've done it for most of my channel here. But anyways, okay, so some house rule changes for this episode. I'll be using one-page Mythic, as usual, for the Oracle side of things, for questions and stuff like that. But for something different, I'm going to try a method of figuring out when something happens during travel. So let me explain. Potentially a D6 and a red D4. The red D4 represents bad luck. Blue is good luck. So generally, our characters will have more good luck. But if the tables turn, then this will change. With a blue D4 and a red D6. Now, it's similar to my oracle of rolling 2d6s, figuring out a yes or no answer. But let's say our characters are traveling to the south, which we will inevitably do sometime. I will roll these two die, and whichever wins is the outcome. So, nothing, this is a 1 right here. Nothing bad happens to our characters, but something small happens. Like something just good enough that we take notice of it. If this was a 6 and that was a 1, it is crystal clear out. There is no bad weather. We are not going to encounter anybody. But even with my d6, if I roll a 2 again, but I roll a 4, that's probably a potential encounter. If this was a 1, then it's definitely a hostile encounter. That's how I am going to interpret it, based on the distance between the two, the gap. So I'll keep these two off the side, because I feel like I'm going to be using those every so often. But like I said before, I leveled up my characters. Clovis is now in the wrong spot for to have in this one. Here we go. Ellis is level 2. They're all level 2s. And in Maze Rats, that gives you a +1 attack bonus, +2 max health. Our characters are still a little hurt from that recent encounter. So we have to figure out a way to heal up, because it is late morning and we're still in the center market. Now, because of the battle, I'm going to assume that a lot of the merchants and the public once again fled. It's been a very rough week for these people. So let's ask the Oracle, and thank you to a certain subscriber, I think a subscriber or a commenter, that my inexperience in RPG and dice rolling, this is 100 from what I've been told. So I have to remember that. Just wanted to point that out, because I think I did this in the last episode or two where I rolled 100. Oh, it's a 0. I can't use that. Well, there is no 0 in the D100 list here, so I missed it. But let's ask a question for the Oracle here. Are there any people still in the center market after the recent battle? I'm going to say unlikely. So 6 That is really interesting. There is. That's exceptional yes. Exceptional yes window is 1 through 7. That's a yes. That's so that makes me think that there's still one individual that is in the market, or maybe it's crowded, or everybody came back. A couple of options here. Let's roll on the action and meaning, discover a meaning table to see what might be in transpiring. 64. So, information. Okay, so maybe someone's asking what happens. 47. Lacking. There's information lacking. Okay, so here's what's happening. I am thinking the captain leaves. Team now travels south. I'm retracing my steps here. Learn more about the Darkain situation. Ellis calls out for Captain. Captain's no help. Doesn't know anybody who can help us track down the information about Darkain. Okay, so information lacking. That role inadvertently mentions the captain's reputation or position in the manor. I'm thinking that that actually is going to relate to a certain small group of merchants who are aggravated and upset about what has been transpiring here in the market area. They're losing business. People are not coming through. The city's under attack and has been for the past day or two because of these shadowy spirits that appeared after a storm. Now these cloaked individuals who we fended off ourselves appeared out of nowhere or walked right in with no real trouble. So the public, I think, in the public's eye, the citizens of Riverport are upset because that the city guard are incompetent. They notice they've been losing numbers. Their captain is just let's say he is a coward, which we already know of as a characteristic, but he seems to be completely useless or inexperienced. I'm thinking that there's a group of merchants who approach us and ask us in point blank what the hell is going on. They complain to us because they've seen us in several occurrences where we have been doing the work of the city guard. They ask us, why has there been so much chaos in the streets of Riverport? We're losing business. There is no travelers passing through. Even the citizens are not coming out of their doors, of their homes. How are we supposed to make business here when there is consistent attacks happening, especially in this part? That is the main concern of this small group of merchants that approached us. So let me journal that in here in my own little translation here. So I'm going to try to keep these short because, like I said, I have a tendency to drag on these notes here. Group of merchants upset. Ask team. Now, ask team what's going on. We explain that we are also upset that such a peaceful town, or such a peaceful city that has been, at peace for some time, has now been bombarded with terrible weather, these inexplicit attacks, or these random attacks. Now, do these group of merchants, are they aware of the Darkain situation? I'm going to say very unlikely. I don't think I mentioned that. I don't believe they heard that mention of Darkain. They could have been nearby hiding, so I'm going to say very unlikely, though. 4, that's another single-digit roll. So, they, much like Lord Voldemort, we don't speak their name, they get close to us and say, we heard the name of Darkain. We know who that is. He is a story we tell our children. And now he's back. Don't you think that deserves some attention of the Lord himself? We just elected the bastard. And I think at that moment, as these merchants are getting heated and rightfully concerned, I'm going to mention that they know of Darkain is back, or supposedly back, allegedly. We try to calm them down. Let's try to see if our characters can calm them down. I'm going to let Ellis do this one, not Clovis, because he is the leader of the group. We're rolling against World of Dungeons method, and that's a complete failure, even with the +1. So that's a 2. That's a 3. He is he's looking around for the guards, trying to figure out, trying to basically not play secretary here for them, because Ellis is not responsible for these people. So he's like, look, you guys have to calm down here. We're trying to help in every way possible. But you do realize we're not really part of the city guard. And the merchants push Ellis in disgust. They said, they tell us, listen, we've had enough of this crap. Even though this has only been going for like a day or two. But listen, we've had enough of this. If you guys don't figure this out with the guard, then we're leaving town and you're losing business and traffic. Which is true. If they skip town, these merchants, this small little group of merchants could represent a much larger demographic of business in Riverport, then that's bad. So we have to go find the captain. We have to step aside. We have to put aside our quest, our main real quest to basically, well, I guess we're not really stepping aside. We're rerouting, because this whole Lights on the South thing could disappear into the abyss, because what's more important is trying to figure out why Darkain is back. And I think the only really answers are in the castle. The castle of the Belmont Castle, which is where Lord Balthazar rules. So we were in there already. We dealt with Commander Fisk. He was a roadblock for us. He did not allow us or the captain to go through. Now, is there any guard in the immediate area while we're chit-chatting here with this guild of merchants? I'm going to say 50-50. I just don't know. 92, there is no guards. There is just these merchants, us, and probably a few stragglers of citizens hiding or running or panicking, etc. Because there are bodies. Oh, that's right, the bodies of the. You know what? No, they dissipated. Well, maybe their physical forms dissipated, but not the clothes they're wearing. That's a good question. I don't think I went into that detail. I don't think I covered that detail in my encounter. So let's figure this out. Let's do unlikely. Did the Darkain cultists drop their actual physical wear when they were killed? Or when they disappeared? Unlikely. 65 unlikely is a no. That's a standard no. So they did not drop anything. They literally turned into space dust. So we can't loot any bodies of these Darkain cultists to gather information. That was probably on purpose. When this is what my team is thinking. They're looking around to see if there's any cloaks left, and there's nothing. There's no weapons, there's no bodies, they're just gone. They're thinking, well, if this is a cult of sorts, they probably have some kind of magical or a curse set upon them to not allow their corpses to be searched if or when they die. So it's like it's basically a safety for whoever is in charge of this cult. Again, we don't know if it's truly Darkain, despite the title being of this campaign. But we're building this. We're learning about these events unfold. I think that's why they dissipated. They disappeared. So we tell the merchants, look, we're also fed up with what's happening. We've tried to speak to the captain. We've tried to speak to Commander Fisk. We are not able to get to the capital. We are not able to get to the castle doors once again like we had before. And that's going to require another roll, I think. This is like kind of a way to. This is a will roll for Ellis. He's talking to the merchant. Does Ellis, what Ellis just said, is he able to finally convince the merchants that their hands are tied on this one? That's going to be +1, so that's a 7, 8. Okay, the merchants ponder, especially the one that pushed Ellis. He looks down at his feet. He's kind of twiddling his thumb. He's doing this. He's like, well, if you've already been inside the castle once, then perhaps you should try once more. But we have better things. We have to get back to our wares. We need to pack up and leave town. So that's how I'm interpreting this role. Like he's going to recommend. He's going to push Ellis to say, "Hey, try again. Go back in the castle." But these guys have to leave. So let me write that down. Merchants, pack up, leave town. But we know that with actually this could be a trigger for Commander Fisk to allow us further passes through the castle, because if he is to hear that merchants are leaving town, then that means Riverport loses business and tourism. So we're going to go back in the castle. I think the team believes that there is someone in the staff of the Lord Balthazar that might have information. The captain probably already went back into the castle to inform of the news of Darkain. So let's keep that in mind when we do rolls coming up. So our team is going to walk back to the main garden, the central square. They're going to walk to the garden. The entrance is, they approach the entrance. Let's do a location change here. So location, we are now at the castle entrance. Or castle, I should say walls, the gates. That's what it is. Yeah, there's the first set of walls, and then there's actual castle doors when we go to the courtyard. First we're at the actual fortified walls of the castle. So we approach the walls. The guards see us. This is the Royal Guard. This is not the City Guard. They are a different, higher-ranking division of the Lord's protection. There's two of them. So we approach. Now, let's ask the Oracle. Do they let us in, or do they, well, first off, do they question us? 50-50. Do they question us? That is off the table. That's a 94. They don't question us. Okay, so that does kind of lead me to think they let us in. Or no, maybe they don't let us in. Commander Fisk probably gave them an order not to let us four in. So, do they not let us in? Like, they have their spears and they cross them as we approach. We're not even near them. Like, we're probably 10-15 feet away. And they just do this. I'm going to say very likely, actually. I'm going to leave a small window of opportunity in there for them. Very likely, do they close off? They do that with their weapons. Very likely. 83. Ooh, that's barely no. They don't cover the entrance. So we approach. They remain still on guard. Now there's a gate. The actual physical gate, is the gate itself open? I'm going to say 50-50 on this one. Well, because there was an attack, I'm going to say likely. Is the gate closed? I'm sorry. I meant to say, is the gate closed? I'll reroll because that's cheating. Is the gate closed because of the attack? Likely. 48, so it wasn't too off. Yes, the gate is closed. Okay, but it's not locked. The royal guards are there. We approach. They don't make any moves. They don't talk. They don't move their spears. We're not just going to walk right in. Ellis looks to one of the guards and says, "We must speak with either the captain or the commander, or Commander Fisk. Are we granted passage?" The Royal Guards, let's see what they do. I'm going to roll on the discovery meeting. 26. Create. 86. create ruins. That might just be create something ruined, something old from the past, bring up some kind of... Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. They say, one of them mutters to us, the commander told us, you are now allowed in the castle walls with clothes like that. That's how I think. Ruined clothes, we don't really exactly look presentable. But we tell the guard, you gotta be kidding me. We have valuable information for the commander, even the captain. We would just like to talk to someone with the city guard. It is urgent. The merchants themselves are leaving. These attacks, we need to find out who is doing this to Riverport. And I don't think I think this is above the Royal Guard's pay grade. Let's say unlikely. Does the Royal Guard listen? We couldn't do let's do a skill roll. For everything I just said, let's do a will roll. This is Ellis. Okay, that was that's a 6 plus the 1. That's total 6. So that's a fail. The guard doesn't even listen. He looks. Think of it like this: the King's. I think the King's Guard in England, the King's Guard. Those guys. I forgot what they're officially called. I do apologize, but I think that's the King's Guard. The Royal. They based the ones with the big top black fuzzy hats and there's on the horse. I apologize, but they don't look or even react anymore. They just stand in there with weapons, with their spears in their hands. They don't say a word. And the team obviously know they can't just walk right in. Now, I think one of my characters is going to be really stubborn here. I'm thinking Clovis is going to be a little stubborn here, and he's going to walk up past Ellis and say to the guard, listen, and I do realize I have not been doing the British accent. I've noticed my accents have been very inconsistent, so I'll just kind of more so describe what they're saying. Clovis walks up to the guard and says, this is bullshit, enough of this, we need to speak. He puts his hand on the gate itself. And the moment he does that, I'm going to roll to see what happens. 80. Obstacle, okay. 47. Our team is telling him, don't touch the door. 80. Obstacle. 47. Lacking. Okay, so obstacle lacking. That is interesting combination. Obstacle lacking. I'm going to do one more roll. That's... I don't know about that one. 25. Empty. Okay, it's insisting that, you know what? The obstacle is lacking because nothing really physical happens. The gate is just locked. It doesn't open. He shakes the gate door and looks to the guard and says, you just have to let us in. We just want to speak to the captain. Does the guard react now that he actually has his hands on the gate? I'm going to say very likely. 73. Very likely. That's a very low yes. The guard looks at Clovis, knowing that he can't exactly get in and it's locked. He tells him, mind taking your hand off the gate, sir, or I'll force you, or I'll take it off myself. Clovis slowly takes his hand off, and he says, what does this character would say? He laughs, he chuckles, as it says here, and says, I prefer to keep my hands, thank you. Ellis is thinking that we probably need to find someone else, because this is a dead end. So they step back, the Royal Guard watch them leave, and we can't get in. So, after all that, we just cannot get in. So I think that avenue is closed. Now we're stepping away from we're now back in the center square, which has been a pretty hot spot this whole campaign. the team is thinking what to do. We need to rest first. We need to get some food, or we need to heal up because we are. Most of our characters are hurt. So let's see. We have 2 medicine from Clovis. Clovis takes. Clovis is going to give one to Jules. Kind of out of character, but he will. Jules is going to heal a D4. Okay, that's a 4. He heals. He's back to normal. And then he gives one to Ellis. So he has no more medication left. Ellis heals. Let's see, 7 is my old. No, 4 again. That's 11 total. Well, that's 11 back to normal. So our characters are mostly healed. While we're leaving, and while we're standing in the center square, let's do my first roll on event. So it's the red die, the red D4 with a D6, because this situation is tense. Alright, so I'm going to re-roll that because it fell off. There we go. Oh wow, okay, so 6-1. Everything is fine. There's no obstacle in our way, there is no immediate danger. That's a decent roll. So, as I'm interpreting it now, our team acknowledges that they need to go speak to someone. They don't know anybody in town personally that might have knowledge about Darkain, but perhaps one of the merchants that we spoke to earlier might know of anything. But they are leaving. So did the merchants already pack up and leave? I'm going to say 50-50. I think they might still be packing up. They have not. Okay, so that's good. So our team will approach one of the merchants. And we'll ask them, listen, from earlier, this is Ellis talking. He says, from earlier, I understand you guys, you and your fellow merchants are upset, aggravated, scared, and disappointed in the city guard, as are we. We're willing to work with you. Do you guys know, they asked the merchants, do you know anything, or do you know anybody that might have information on what transpired earlier? Like, who is Darkain? If that was a cult. So he's basically trying to ask him for information regarding what they saw from earlier, like the Darkain cult. Does he know anything? I'm going to say very unlikely. He's a traveler. Well, I think they're local, but they do have a tendency to move if they have to. 96, that is a solid. So, very unlikely. This is either way, either it's unlikely or very unlikely. It's a very strong, exceptional no. So they do not. This one merchant we're talking to in specific does not have any. But for some reason, this rolled a. Let's see what it means. 26. Create again. Rolling that a lot today. 73. Perfect. Create perfect. The merchant is. He's scared out of his mind when we mentioned Darkain once again. He's like, look, you stop saying that name? I gotta get out of here. And he's packing up his goods. He's closed up shop. And we know he's in a hurry. So Ellis is like, look, you obviously know who this Darkain fellow is. You obviously know something. Can you please just tell us anything? We're trying to help this city. That'll be a will roll. This is like a 3rd or 4th will roll for Ellis. Plus 1 bonus. 6. That makes it just barely 7. Okay, so I think he's going to divulge information, but at a cost. This is a success, but with a complication. So he's looking around. He whispers, "Look, I know one person who might be able to help you, but it's going to cost you. After all, I have been losing business." Ellis is like, "Come on, man. We've been fighting these guys for the past day and a half. you seriously want us to pay for information at this point? And I think that's gonna be another. No, I believe that's gonna require a roll. The merchant's like, he has his hand out. He's like, doesn't say anything, just has his hand out. Ellis is like, fine. He's going to. Well, the deep voice is like, fine. Here's some gold. He throws in some gold. Let's do 5 gold. Just something minimal. I don't want to lose everything. Ellis doesn't want to lose everything from a huge part of his currency. So he gives him 5 gold. Pays for info. Darkain info. Or a source. He says, let's roll for it, actually. I have an idea what to say, but let's roll for it. What does he say? 40? 40 is finding something different. Enemies. 62. Mysterious. Oh, okay, so he says, listen, I traveled here from the south a few days ago before these attacks happened. Just south of here, in the Northwood Forest, just south of Riverport, there was a camp set up. There was a small camp deep in the woods. I believe, passing by, I saw the same hooded figures walking towards that camp. So the merchant's telling us that there's a camp, whether bandits or not. He saw a camp passing through the forest. Maybe he took a shortcut. He's like, I took a shortcut through the forest to get to Riverport sooner before the weather turned bad. He went off the main trail, the main path. Let's say the main path is right here. You can barely see the print. But maybe he cut around to a shortcut through a clearing, and he stumbled on a campground. And as he stumbled on the campground, close to it, maybe he saw the same hooded figures surrounding a campfire, or not campfire, surrounding some kind of wagon or the middle of the center of the camp, talking amongst themselves, and he backed off. So that's what he's saying. So the merchant basically saw a camp to the south in the forest. And Clovis lifts his finger. He does this. He's like, that might have been the light we saw from the other day. And Ellis is nodding his head. This information might be useful. Thank you. He tells the merchant, thank you. And the merchant's like, my pleasure. Keeps closing his door, closes his wagon doors, gets on his horse, and takes off. The merchant's out. And now we have a lead that there is something strange in the neighborhood to the south in the woods. So it's time that we set off on our expedition to find out if this camp is, if the occupants of this camp are related to who we fought earlier. So we officially leave Riverport. We cross through the alleyways, the main cobblestone paths, and we're now outside Riverport. So, with that in mind, let's roll to see if anything happens. I'm thinking a d6 with the question and the usual d4. Okay, let me roll this here. Alright, so that's... I'm going to re-roll because I did that one before. Let me use the cup. I'm not a fan of similar, repeat rolls. It doesn't create excitement or chaos for the characters. There we go. Let's use the cup. Okay. Oh, it's an equal roll. That's the one downside to this method, but I always like to... It's always encouraging to try anyway. So, we'll have to ring them on the meetings table. So while we're outside Riverport, we encounter 86. Positive. Okay, so it could be good. 11. It goes to 11. Positive cold. There is a cold snap. There is a So it's what, late morning right now. There's a breeze, a cold breeze from the shore. We're pretty close to the ocean, so there's a cold breeze that just swoops in, and we shiver, knowing that the further we leave, the most likely we're going to encounter a potential danger. So this cold snap, whether or not it's actual, like I'm taking it literal. That the temperature changes, it's very cold. That could be a problem because if there's a cold snap. Is this artificial or is this Mother Nature? Let's roll 50-50. Is this Mother Nature? It is a strong yes. It is Mother Nature. There is a gust of wind, a heavy gust of wind that blows in. Now, the weather, we haven't really touched base on that. Let's do the weather down here because there's been some time since we left Riverport. So cold snap, heavy wind. I'm going to say there's a storm moving in from the east. Storm to the east. They can see the clouds, and it's moving in pretty quick. It's just off the shore. So I'm thinking it's not exactly winter, but it's fall. I'm gonna write that in my notes here, so just remember keeping track of what season it is. It's fall. I'm not really one to track like day to day, like the exact date. I know some DMs do that, but that's just too much for me. Especially handling 4 characters. So they see the storm incoming. Does the storm? We'll see. Does Ellis recognize the storm, or does Ellis think the storm is? We rolled this Mother Nature, but Ellis is thinking something else. So I could modify that roll, retcon that roll to something else. Does Ellis think the storm looks unnatural? I'm gonna do actually Clovis. Clovis is a smarter one for that. I'm gonna do a roll for him. Does he think this storm approaching looks unnatural? 6-5. That's actually a pretty good roll. Plus the 2 bonus, so that's a 11, 12, 13. Wow. So here's what the storm is actually going to be. We'll roll for it. 10. It's a burden, that's obvious. 86. I'm going to reroll because I've already used ruined. There we go. 42. Helpful. It's a burden, but it's helpful. Okay, so here's how they see it. They see that this storm could be a problem for them, but it's also helpful. If they get to the forest in time, the storm will give them cover if they have to encounter anybody like the said potential Darkain cultist, the darkest. Interesting, I just thought of that, but whatever. The Darkain cultist, it could give an advantage to our team if there's a fight, but also could be a burden. So it's really a 50-50 situation here. So they're walking down the trail. It's probably been 5, 10, 15 minutes now. And as they approach, they start to approach the tree line. Let's roll to see if anything happens. So let me write down the location. We're now at the Northwood, I believe. Northwood Forest. Yep. Northwood Forest. Tree line. Yep. Let's roll to see if anything happens. So this will be the couple. Yep. That is a very small happening. It's 2 yes, 1 no. So something does small beneficial happens, and it's going to be that they find the following: help 75, powerful. They find something powerful help. That is intriguing. They find something helpful, powerful. Okay, I'm going to say that they found an abandoned. They see off the side of the path, just off the side, there is an abandoned large wagon, toppled over. So with, let's see, a banded wagon, which I use that quite often in my videos. They see it, and is there anything with the wagon as far as something alive, like a living? Is there anything with the wagon, excluding items? I'm gonna say very likely. 98. Ooh, okay, definitely not. It's recently. It's been there for a long time. This wagon has been there for a while. They walk up to it cautiously. That's a very exceptional no. And now it's concerning. But earlier we rolled powerful. They see in the wagon as it's toppled over, there's no bodies, there's no corpses, there's no horses or anything. There is a large, let's say it's a large sack that's kind of like hidden in the bushes. So let's do a roll. There is a large sack, but I'm going to do a roll to see if our characters can see it. Okay, this will be Ellis. 9, 10, the bonus. So that is a standard success. It's not no complication. Ellis, while he's walking with the team, he spots a brown sack with the kind of rope tied on top there, covered in some bushes. Like it's covered up, but because of wind and storms and such, it revealed itself over time. So he walks up to the rope. He walks up to the sack. It's a pretty large sack too. He takes the top of the rope and pulls the knot apart and opens it up. What does he find inside this large sack? Let's say, let's roll for it. Meaning table 3. Okay, it's a benefit, so definitely something helpful for the team here. 79. It's reassuring. Again, all of this is supposed to be happening is reassuring, but how is it reassuring to us? I feel like getting maze rats out here. I think it's an item. I really do think isn't an item. Here, nearly certain, isn't an item. 43. It is. It is for sure an item, so that was completely unnecessary to roll that. So it's a treasure of sorts, but it's something very important. Let's roll on one of these tables. I'm gonna say it's a treasure item. So usually for this I do the red is for the table and blue is the choice it lands on. Okay, for the treasure item, 4-3, so table 4, choice 3. It's perfume. Okay. So we find perfume. But the treasure trait. 3-1. Ooh, it's an element. Okay, so I have to go to the elements table because the categories are bold. You have to move to. You have to continue on. So element. I don't see element here. I know it's somewhere. I guess it is before items. Element. It's bold. Elements. I don't see anything for elements. I hope this is not a mistake from this one here. Element. Is it going to be magic related? It's an element. Okay, so I'm thinking it's magic related. So, because there's no other element tables I'm seeing here. No, I don't see any other element. It makes sense. It's magical. Yeah. Effect, element, that's in our magic section. That most likely. Okay, so this perfume does something. Element. It must be one of these two. I'm gonna say it's ethereal. Let's see what kind of element it is. 2-6. So table 2. It's heat. Okay? So that is interesting. This perfume we found, it's in a bottle. There's a bunch of other things. It looks like it's belonging to like a very noble, a family of nobles. Because the sack is large, and there's so much in there. There's books, there's piles of paper, parchment. There is there is no weapons. Whoever hid this was trying to hide it, but they're not too thoroughly. They covered it up and as if they're running. So does Ellis see any footprints nearby? Let's see. Let's do a roll. He does, plus the 1, so that's 7, 8. He spots some footprints, but they fade away as they get farther away from him. They run southeast, so footprints fade southeast into the forest. Like you can see it, they kind of run off. Kind of like very elegant looking souls. So he's holding his perfume, and it's a bottle. It's a very elegant, nice glass bottle with a very bright blue cork in it, or like a top piece. So it kind of looks like this. Solid, almost a triangle shape with a blue top. So let me show you guys what it looks like. Like that, with the liquid inside. And that's what we know as the viewer. Is there any writing on this perfume jar? This perfume, let's say, is there any writing on the perfume? I'm gonna say likely, actually. 69. There is not. It's not labeled. So it's not labeled. Which means that they stumbled onto something that, next page, this is session 5. Okay, so session 5 continued. There we go. Okay, so I'm thinking that he found some family's belongings buried under a bunch of like hay or grass, and he's not going to pick up. It's really heavy. It's probably 50, 60 pounds, and that's too much encumbrance. And I don't even track encumbrance at this point. I just limit it to the amount of slots for the items. So the team was like, "Well, what do you see?" And Ellis says, "I found this strange jar. It's oddly appealing to me, and it has like a very shiny, wavy-looking liquid. So it could be enchanted. So he's gonna pocket it. I'm gonna call it. Let's see. Let's call it perfume container. That's all. Perfume container. I'll put a star next to it because this is like a legendary Pokemon, maybe. And he shows the bag to the team. Does the rest of it. Is there anything else useful in the bag for the team sake? Let's say 50-50. Oh, that's that's barely a no. There's not. Tempting. There's lots that is tempting to take, but it's just books, clothes, very nice clothes. There is writing utensils, the feathers, parchment. Like I said, there's just basically personal belongings. Nothing like weapons or armor, shields, helmets, arrows. Nothing really valuable for the team, but they are tempted to take something. Now, I mentioned nice looking clothes earlier. That could be interesting. So, one of our characters, who would take the elegant clothes? I really think it's Ellis. Clovis might. I think Clovis is going to take the elegant clothes, so he takes it. it. I have an idea for this, but it's not going to be anytime soon. Elegant clothes. It's a full set of. It's like a full set of wares. We'll put a star next to it. It's another legendary Pokemon. So he sees that, he takes it, and Ellis puts the bag back down, ties it up. He's like, okay, so whoever the stuff belongs to ran off that way into the forest. And then Clovis and company think, what if this wagon was attacked? These people were attacked by the 5 cloaked Darkain cultists that we encountered earlier. If they are Darkain cultists. And well, we know they are some kind of worshippers for Darkain, so most likely at this point they are cultists. So our team thinks that a family or someone was attacked around that wagon. So they are thinking it's the Darkain cultists from earlier. It's no coincidence that these guys showed up out of nowhere. They can teleport, so that is a fact. But maybe that's just for emergency use only. They usually like to walk, perhaps, or it makes it more threatening if they walk in. Shows the weakness of the city, that it's not heavily guarded as it should be. So our team is going to go into the woods and look for this so-called camp, because they think that these footprints walked towards the camp, whoever these footprints belong to. So we'll mention the footprints once more. Southeast forest. Alright, so the team, they are going to enter the forest. So location, Northwood Forest. Like we're really in there now. We were already in Northwood Forest, but I think we're all around the tree line, the outskirts of the forest. But now we're actually deep within. So we are currently carefully walking over the heavy piles of leaves and dirt, the big, tall, towering trees. This is maybe oak trees. I'm not too sure on the details, but this is obviously a heavily dense forest. And we are basically scouring, investigating, scavenging, etc. And while we're doing that, let's roll to see if anything happens. So I'll use the Cup of Destiny here. Okay, so 1 and a 4 is definitely an encounter. We encounter something. All right, interesting. So we have our first encounter for this session. Sorry, when I get a habit of calling them sessions, not episodes. And because of that, we got to figure out if this encounter, if they are hostile. So we could go off with the 1-4, but I want to roll on the discovery means. I might disregard these rolls. I'm just curious. 15, communicate. Okay. 29. Feeble. That does actually make some sense. I got it. I had a great idea. Feeble, thinking that it's someone who can't speak too loud. It's someone really weak. Communicate. So this is not a dangerous encounter as I originally might have thought, but we found someone who is like crawling for their life, and they're wearing travel wear. Like they wear like a heavy, not a robe, but like large shirt with probably an extra layer, pants, boots of sorts. But is this individual like heavily injured? I'm saying nearly certain. 81 actually. Yep, it's a weak guess. They are. So, whoops. Not hostile. So it's a injured individual crawling. It's a traveler. It's an individual. He's crawling and he's trying to, for some reason, crawling through the forest. He's dragging. Now we didn't see crawl marks from earlier, so most likely this is the guy that we just rummaged through his stuff. But maybe he was walking and then he collapsed. Maybe he got hurt, he got injured, etc. So we walk up next to him, we kneel down, and does he acknowledge us? I'm gonna say he does, very likely. Oh yeah, that's a very strong yes. He freaks out. He sees us. That's exceptional yes. That's the highest yes possible. He freaks out, screams as much as he can. He goes, ah, no, please, don't kill me, and he keeps crawling. He's trying to crawl faster now. His legs are done for. He can't walk. His legs are torn apart by, oh, is it claws, perhaps? Let's say 50-50. Oh, wow. Holy crap. That's exceptional. No, it's not claws. He's been attacked by another person. Please. So let's say this guy was attacked by someone. Not something, someone. That's the key word right there. He's crawling. And Ellis tries to get in front of him. He's like, no, no, no. Stop, slow down. What happened to you? We're not hostile. We're not hostile. What happened to you? He's crawling. Does he stop? Let's do a skill roll for this one. Ellis is trying to calm him down, trying to stop him from crawling any further, wasting his energy. We are trying to, the team is trying to help him out. 8 plus the 1, that's 9. He does eventually stop, looks up, and then he sees the team. He looks around, and he sees that we don't look similar to the previous whoever else attacked him. He sees that we're a different party. He's like, oh my gosh, uh, who are you for? And then we basically tell him we are from Riverports. We're looking into the incidences of the of the demons attacking Riverports. Who are you exactly? And he goes off on his name. Let's draw his name. Let's do a. I'm preparing the book here. Maze Rats. Let's see here. Characters. His name is. Red die for the table. Okay, 4/4. So he's gonna be a male character. Um. Okay, I'll go with that. So NPC. Well, for now, it could be dying here anytime soon. Mortimer. 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 So he says, um, let's say he is a noble, or he is like a upper class person of sorts. 6/6. Okay. His upper class name is Wimbleforce. I like that. That's a great name, Wimbleforce. This whole name is like just straight up. Uh, yeah, Wimbleforce. So I like that. He's like, I'm Mortimer Wimbleforce. Now, does our team recognize his name? I'm gonna say very unlikely. 70. They don't. They don't recognize his name. They don't know who he is. He said, I'm Mortimer Wimbleforce. And what does Mortimer do? Mortimer Wimbleforce. Sorry, Mortimer. I thought there's professions in here. I thought there was. Hobbies? Oh, for a second I thought there was professions. I could be wrong. Okay, so civilized. Let's see here. I don't see anything that. We'll try profession. Where was it? Hobbies. So what does this guy do for a living? 'Cause if it's a cuisine, I can know he's a chef. Fishing. He's a fisherman. Oh, that does actually make sense. Okay, so he's a fisherman. He says, I'm. He does he live? Does he is he from Riverport? I wasn't nearly certain when there's no other towns nearby. 23. Yep, he is from Riverport. Oh, you know what? I'm going to change the music because now things are getting a little interesting. Let's try. This one. I think I put this on before for you guys. So again, credits in the description. Now, he is a fisherman, and he is from Riverport. So he tells us he's from Riverport also. He was um, a fisherman, and he fled because of the attacks. He doesn't feel safe living. Oh, he's from the. Does he recognize us? Because we did fight on the bay, the harbor with those monsters. Does he recognize us? I'm going to say likely. 6, he does. Oh my gosh. So that's a very strong yes. He recognizes us. He's like, "You four, I've seen you. Yes, that's right. You fought those deadly demons in the harbor. I was there. I was fleeing. Did how how did you find me here?" And we told him that this is pure luck. We rolled the dice, and then things happened, and then he, no, obviously, we would say again, it was pure luck. We are well, not pure luck. I'd say this was inadvertently. We found you. Well, we're tracking down we tell him we're trying to calm him down. We're speaking slowly. We are trying to track down a potential dangerous cult that supposedly has a camp set deep within this forest. And now we mention that. We mentioned cult. We mentioned the hooded figures. I want to mention that. So, from Harbor Attack, uh, team mentions the cult. So, we mentioned the cult. And does he know what we're talking about? Because he knows about the monsters. But the cult potential, I'm going to say very likely, because I have a reason for this. 65, very likely. That is a weak yes. He says, Darkain, I have heard of that name before. And he's crawling, he's breathing heavily. He's like, I've heard of that name before. The cult and the force. That sounds that sounds awful. And we ask him, who attacked you? Like, what happened to you? Now, who attacked him? That's the question. We got to figure out who attacked him. So, let's see who attacked him. I might disregard these rolls just in case. I always give that warning if I do. 67, which I think I rolled before. Move, not really. Never rolled that one. 20. Move dark. Oh my gosh. Okay, so he says that he was on his way out of Riverport, and he was attacked by a moving darkness, like a shadow. It was literally on the ground, like a shadow moving on the ground, quickly towards his wagon. Let's say he had a donkey. Just it was a he had a donkey, a wagon, whatever. He rented one, and he was traveling. And the shadow approached his wagon. It turned into a creature. Let's say it turned into. Oh no, did it turn into a creature? 50-50. I like this. I really do like this little thread here. 69. Oh, I didn't really state what the chances were. Did it turn into a creature? Let's see 50-50. It didn't. Nope. It turned into. Oh, did it turn into. It did turn into the cult. But not all of them. It turned into one. So he was attacked by the leader from earlier, from the cult, from Darkain cult. So this leader, it might be becoming a character. So I'm thinking, I'm gonna put this in here, a note. Let's say leader in quotations here, because that's our label for him so far. He says he was attacked by one very dangerous shadow that approached my wagon, and appeared in front of me suddenly, like I was in his way. He says he spawned a giant shadow hand, like a huge spiritual hand, and wiped his wagon off the side of the road, or wiped him off the road, and it hit his wagon, sent him flying. He went flying and crashed into a tree. That's why, he hit his back. That's why he can't walk. Or let's say he did hit his back, and he was having trouble walking. Then he collapsed and started crawling. First, he was kind of like limping for maybe walking, limping-ish for a few minutes, and he collapsed, which explains why we couldn't see his trail for too long. So he was attacked by the leader, and doesn't know what happened after that. And as he speaks, his hand drops to the ground, and he takes his last breath, exhales, and there lies Mortimer Wimbleforce, dead in the Northwood Forest. So, pretty dramatic situation here, dramatic moment. Um, I think this shows that this is another connection that the leader or the Darkain cult potentially came from the south. So if we look at the map, the only really things south from here is Wintercrest, Ardale, Shadow Rock, Brickspire, Greatstone, Greenbow, but these are more off to the left here. So thinking kind of on this side of the island. But then there is something just mysterious down here. So I'll keep that kind of hidden unless you guys saw it. But so we're thinking that means that we stand up, we take it, we some of our characters do the little cross, they pray, some of us don't. Depends on whoever's religious. I'm not going to go in that far into detail. But um, Ellis closes his eyes, the Mortimer, and they bury him properly within like maybe 15 minutes. They dig a hole. I think one of us had a shovel actually. I thought we had a shovel. Hammer. Yep, we have a shovel. So Jules takes a shovel out, digs a hole, and the individual, so Mortimer, this is important, very important, 2 stars. Mortimer dies, and we bury him. So, oops, sorry. Okay, we bury him in the forest, and we kind of have just a very short moment of silence for him. We didn't know much about him, but we knew that he was attacked by the very person we fought probably shortly after his attack. So he was probably attacked late last, whatever, I don't recall the combat we had with the group from yesterday. But this is very concerning. So we didn't loot him, that'd be disrespectful. We buried him. And we put a cross, a grave mark. We leave a note like that. A grave mark, a cross for him. Okay, so he passed away. Our characters are just we have to let it go. We gotta keep moving. So we keep going south and deeper into the forest. Deeper into the forest. Okay, so I think that's all I'm gonna do for this session, guys. I have just over an hour here. I hope you enjoyed it. I think this is my longest one so far with Darkain. But I hope you enjoyed it. This was actually really good. Again, a lot of lore. Uh, no encounter, which I thought it was going to be, but that turned out to be some very dramatic narrative moment. So session 6, our team is on a very single track mind right now. We need to find the camp. Find Darkain camp. And avenge Mortimer's death. The leader. So, I'm thinking that this next session will actually have an encounter with Darkain once again. But this time, he is at his home base of sorts, his camp. So, that is it for the session, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.